Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and today I am going to be talking about all of my anticipated releases for the month of May 2022. As always, these are the ones that I am personally excited about. There are so many more books coming out in the month of May. You can check those out as well. These are just the ones that I am excited about. There's a few sequels, there's some new series, and there's some that I haven't heard anyone really talk about that I'm really excited about based on the synopsis alone. So hopefully you find something in this list that you are also excited about. You can check out my full blog post about all of these down in the description box if you want to get a little more information. Check them out on Amazon or wherever it is that you purchase and pre-order your books. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you guys today because there's quite a few really cool books coming out in the month of May. The first one that I'm really excited about is a sequel, and that is The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. This is the second book in the Gilded Ones. I think it's called the Deathless series. The first book follows our main character when she turns, I believe, 16. And in their culture, girls are tested at the age of 16. They are like cut and bled. And if they bleed red, then they are like normal people. If they bleed gold, then they are something else that we don't know. And those people that bleed gold are killed. Well, of course, our main character bleeds gold because why wouldn't she? And while they attempt to kill her, she ends up being kind of whisked away and offered this opportunity to train as a warrior who's basically cannon fodder for their government with a group of other girls who have also bled gold. They are the Gilded Ones. Makes sense. And after the events of book one, I am very excited to see where this story goes. I have a full review for book one if you want to check that out. I will leave that for you, but I had a really good time. This is a YA fantasy and it is pretty dark. I know the first book is pretty dark. There's some brutal, like gory moments in it. So if that bothers you, just kind of be aware. But I felt like it led pretty gory for YA, but I really ended up enjoying it despite some of the issues with the book. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And the release date for this is the 31st. The next one I'm super excited about is also a sequel. But it's not, I don't believe, like a direct sequel. This is like a sequel in world, if that makes sense. Like we're not following the same characters as we did in book one. And that is Seasonal Fears by Shauna Maguire. This is the sequel to Middle Game. And I was late on the Middle Game hype train. I literally just recently read it and finished it. I adored it. I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. If you have not read Middle Game, go read Middle Game. It was so good. I can definitely see this being one of my favorites of the year. And when I saw that book 2 is coming out, I lost it. I was so excited. This follows a different set of characters set in the same world as Middle Game. I don't want to give spoilers about Middle Game. And I feel like if I talk too much about this book, even though it's just the world, it will kind of give spoilers, and I feel like you should go into Middle Game pretty blind because it is so good. In this world, we have like alchemists. They're kind of our magic users, and we have this one alchemist who is creating twins that are embodiments of like natural forces. And in the first one, it's the embodiment of what they call the doctrine, and that is math and language. The twins are separated and raised apart, and they're supposed to like come together on their own and embody this doctrine. And then he's supposed to be able to like control them and essentially control the world. And while that was all book one, book two follows a different set of characters. And I believe they are embodiments of different forces. They're not embodiments of the doctrine. And it doesn't mention our original characters at all. It seems like they're the embodiment of winter and summer based on the synopsis, which really excites me. And I don't think they're twins this time. They seem to be maybe a little bit more of a romance element, but hopefully it's not like the main focus of the book, because like I loved that we followed siblings in the first book and did not have a lot of romance, if like any at all. I thought it was really, really well done. So I'm very, very excited to get to Seasonal Fears. This comes out, I believe, May 3rd, and y'all, I'm so excited for it. Plus, look at the cover. It is so cool. The next one that I'm hyped about is not a sequel, and that is The Siren Queen by Nevo. This sounds so cool. I can't really describe it without just reading the synopsis to you, so that's what I'm going to do. It says, no maids, no funny talking, no fainting flowers. Luli Wei is beautiful, talented, and desperate to be a star. Coming of age in a pre-code Hollywood, she knows how dangerous the movie business is and how limited roles are for Chinese-American girl from Hungarian Hill. But she doesn't care. She would rather play a monster than a maid. But in Luli's world, the worst monsters in Hollywood are not the ones on screen. The studios want to own everything from her face to her name to the woman she loves, and they run on a system of bargains made in blood and ancient magic, powered by endless sacrifice of unlucky starlets like her. For those who do survive to earn their fame, success comes with a steep price. Luli is willing to do whatever it takes, even if that means becoming a monster herself. Siren Queen offers up an enthralling exploration of outsider achieving stardom on her own terms in a fantastical Hollywood where the monsters are real and the magic of the silver screen illuminates every page. I don't know why, but that just sounds so cool. I've always really liked like classic Hollywood, the starlets, and like that kind of era of Hollywood has always like fascinated me. And it's always, you know, kind of been known that it was like a very dark time. Not that these times aren't, but you know what I mean? Like that era of Hollywood has always fascinated me. And I'm just really, really excited to read this. I want to jump in. It sounds like it's going to be a standalone as well, which we all know I need more standalones. And this is probably going to be like really high on my list to read once it comes out and I receive it. And this is supposed to come out on the 10th of May. The next one that we have coming out is the Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. And this is another kind of 1001 Nights retelling. And y'all, if you've been around here a minute, you know I love that kind of inspired retelling. I love 1001 Nights. I love every kind of retelling that I've read. So I'm really, really excited to get to this one. This one says, Luli Al-Nazari is a midnight merchant, a criminal who, with the help of her djinn bodyguard, hunts and sells illegal magic. When she saves the life of a cowardly prince, she draws the attention of his powerful father, the Sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp that has the power to revive a barren land, at the cost of sacrificing all jinn. With no choice but to obey or be executed, Luli journeys with the Sultan's oldest son to find the artifact. Aided by her bodyguard, who has secrets of his own, they must survive ghoul attacks, outwit vengeful Jinn Queen, and confront a malicious killer from her past. And in a world where story is reality and illusion is truth, she will discover that everything, her enemy, her magic, even her own past, is not what it seems, and she must decide who she will become in this new reality. Need I say more? Need I? I love 1001 Night retellings. I love anything with Jen, and I'm really, really excited to get to this one, and it has a really pretty cover. So all of those things right there just kind of sell me on it. This is supposed to come out on the 17th of May. One that I haven't really heard anybody mention in any of their like May anticipated releases is City of Orange by David Yoon. This seems like a really cool dystopian sci-fi book, and after reading the synopsis, I was like totally sold on it, added it to my list, and it just sounds like it's going to be super interesting, right up my alley. I love dystopians. So this says, a man who cannot remember his own name wakes up in an apocalyptic landscape. injured and alone. He has vague memories of life before, but he can't see it clearly and can't grasp how his current situation came to be. He must learn to survive by finding sources of water and foraging for food. Then he encounters a boy and realizes nothing is what it was, neither the past nor the present. The City of Orange is a novel that is both harrowing and heartfelt, charged with a speculative energy, but grounded in an intimate character study. It is a novel about coming to grips with the worst that has befallen us and finding our way home again. That sounds cool. It's got a lot of tropes that I like. It's very post-apocalyptic, which I love. It is got that amnesia, nothing's what it seems kind of vibe. And I absolutely love that. So I'm really, really excited. And I don't know why I haven't heard anyone talking about it. Maybe I'm just not on the right side of BookTube right now, but this sounds so good. And it is supposed to come out on May 24th. Okay, of course, we can't talk about May releases without talking about the big one that everyone is excited about, and that is Book of Night by Holly Black. And yes, I'm actually excited for this one because it is her adult debut. And while I did not, by any means, like The Cruel Prince, I know I did not like it. I did not continue on after the first book. I thought it was terrible. But I didn't think her writing was bad. I just didn't like the story. So I'm really excited to see what she does in an adult book that doesn't contain the fae. We all know that I'm not a big fae fan. I don't tend to gravitate towards things that have fairies and fae, but this sounds really interesting. Plus the cover's cool. Plus I think I'm gonna get in a book box. So it just intrigues me enough to want to know what this book is and just make sure I see all the hype around it. Plus the comparisons are The Night Circus and Ninth House, which are two books that I absolutely adore. So if we're comparing it to those, you know I have to try it out. It says, in Charlie Hall's world, shadows can be altered for entertainment and cosmetic preferences, but also to increase power and influence. You can alter someone's feelings and memories, but manipulating shadows has a cost. With the potential to take hours or days from your life. Your shadow holds all the parts of you that you want to keep hidden. A second self standing just to your left, walking behind you into lit rooms, and sometimes it has a life of its own. Charlie is a low-level con artist working as a bartender while trying to distance herself from the powerful and dangerous underground world of shadow trading. She gets by doing odd jobs for her patrons and the naive new money in her town at the edge of Berkshire's. But when a terrible figure from her past returns, her present life is thrown into chaos, and her future seems at best unclear and at worst non-existent. Determined to survive, she throws herself into a maelstrom of secrets and murder, setting her against a cast of doppelgangers, billionaires, shadow thieves, and her own sister, all desperate to control the magic and shadows. I mean, that sounds right up my alley. Sounds like there's no fae in it. So I'm really, really excited. I'm hyped to see it. And plus, you compare anything to The Night Circus and or Ninth House, I'm probably going to want to check it out because, like I said, those are two of my favorite books. And this book is supposed to come out on May 3rd. All right, another one that I've heard literally not a soul talk about. I have no idea how I found this. I think I was just looking up May releases and this one popped up randomly and I'm like, what is this? I haven't heard anyone talking about this. This is a really cool cover. And then I read the synopsis and I'm like, that sounds like a Jessie book to me. So I added it to this list because I want to talk about it and I haven't heard anyone else talk about it. And that is Collar Bound by Rebecca Zahibi. And this sounds like a really cool, adult epic fantasy. So I'm going to read you the synopsis. On the other side of the Shadow Pass, rebellion is brewing and refugees have begun to trickle in to the city at the edge of the world. Looming high on the cliff is the Nest, a fortress full of mages who offer protection, but also embody everything a rebellion is fighting against. A strict hierarchy based on magical abilities and the oppression of the Kerr community. When Isha arrives as a refugee, she attempts to fit in amongst the other mages, but her Kerr tattoo brands her as an outcast. She can't remember her past or why she has the tattoo. All she knows is that she survived, and she doesn't intend to give up now. Tatters, who wears the golden collar of a slave, knows that his rebellion is different from past skirmishes. He was once one of the rebels, fought beside them, and technically, they still own him. He plans to stay in the shadows until Isha appears in his tavern. He's never seen a human with a tattoo, and the markings look eerily familiar. Despite his fear of being discovered, Tatters decides to help her. As the rebellion carves a path of destruction towards the city, the collar-bound follows an unlikely friendship between a man trying to escape his past and a woman trying to uncover hers, until their secrets threaten to tear them apart. A tale that questions fate and finds strength in not belonging, the collar-bound hooks from the opening pages and will appeal to fans of magical brink-of-war settings like the Poppy War and lyrical character-driven writing as found in a darker shade of magic. Does that not sound like something I would absolutely adore? For one, it's comped to two books that I absolutely love, Poppy War and Darker Shade of Magic. Though I wouldn't say Darker Shade of Magic has like lyrical writing, like it's really good writing, but I wouldn't say it's lyrical, so I'm kind of interested to see where that comes from. Like I can think of better examples of like lyrical writing, but I digress. Very brink of war, and it sounds like there's like cost of magic, and you know I love a good rebellion. I love a good rebellion, and as we've said earlier, I love a good, like, doesn't remember your past or how you got here moment. So I'm really, really, really excited. And like I said, no one that I know of has found or, like, talked about this. I honestly could not even find this book for sale on Amazon. Like, I couldn't find a pre-order link to this, and it, like, had me so intrigued. And I'm like, well, I think it was on Amazon, but then it was like taken down, and I found it on the author's website, I believe. I'll leave everything below. I have more information in my blog post, but yeah, I couldn't find it on Amazon, which I found very strange because I really wanted to go pre-order it. But if you know anything about this book or this author, I'd never heard of the author before either, let me know because it sounds really cool. And this is supposed to release on the 12th of May. All right, and the final book on this list is Circus of Shadows by Kimberly Turley. Again, this is kind of a circus, night circus-esque book. And if you know anything about me, like I've just said before, I love the night circus. I like circuses, books about circuses, dark circuses, and you know, it just, that is really what caught my eye was the cover, the fact that it was about a circus and magical circus, and I really wanted to dig deeper. I read the synopsis, added it to my list on Amazon because it just sounds so interesting. This says, when 17-year-old Grace Hart gets caught stealing a ride on a circus train, she expects to be arrested. Instead, she's offered a job as the new assistant to the circus magician and knife thrower, Jack. He's charismatic and genteel, but his aim isn't perfect. Hence the position opening. The work is better than jail, but once Gracie starts performing with Jack, she begins finding threatening notes hidden in her costumes. At first, she thinks she's being haunted by the ghost of the last assistant, but she can't shake the feeling that things are even stranger than they appear. Plagued by reoccurring deja vu, cryptic notes, and suspicions that Jack may not be who he seems, Gracie is swept into supernatural secrets surrounding the circus troupe. And when a second death is discovered in the circus, one thing becomes boldly clear. If Gracie can't figure out the mysteries under the big top, her next venue may be the afterlife. That sounds cool. Again, we have people not being who they seem to be. And in this one, we have like kind of you have a choice whether go to prison or do this thing. So she's like, I'm going to do the thing. And that just sounds really cool. It gives me vibes from Night Circus, kind of, with the traveling circus, but also Where Dreams Descend, because we have that kind of element of performance and not really like a competition, but, performing in this like magical show. And we have the assistants, and I'm really, really hyped for this one. I'm excited to see it, check it out when it comes out. And that comes out on May 7th. All right, there you have it. That is all of the books that I'm really excited about that come out in May of 2022. Let me know what you think, if you're excited about any of these, if you've pre-ordered any of them. And let me know if you know anything specifically about the collar bound, because I have had a very hard time finding out much information about it. even like where to order it. So let me know if you know any information on that, because I'm really interested in that one. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.